Now, a couple ways we can do this. We can start with a brand new page from scratch, but we don't want any of these elements. So in this particular case, I am going to make a brand new page. And I'm just going to call this one page BG version 1 and publish. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my back-end editor and I'm going to put in an element. Okay, and the element that I'm going to put in here is a single image. Okay, now, very important step. If I go and put this image in here, it's not going to be a background image. It's going to be a foreground image. And that's really, at this point, not what I want to do. So I'm going to cancel out of that, and I'm going to trash this altogether. So one of the things we need to do, first I'm going to change this text a little bit. And I'm just going to put think, learn, earn. And I'll just make that a header 1 and save the changes and update. So if I go and preview the changes right now, you're just going to see think, learn, earn on the page. Now, one of the things I definitely don't want to see for this page is I don't want to see the page title, and I certainly don't want to see the date that it's published. I want to make this very clean. So a simple way to do that, again, is go to Edit Layout. And based on these choices, we don't want to see the title. We don't want to have an image. And we certainly don't want to see the date. So date off. Okay, everything else comments off too. We have comments set up in our first video from the general preferences, but I just want to make sure comments are turned off. So if I save the changes and I save the layout and I go back to my page, actually go back here to the page. Actually, we can close this and preview the changes. You'll see that the title is now gone. Now, the reason you're seeing this is because you're logged in. If you don't want to see that, if you want to see the actual experience that the viewer is seeing, then I would suggest to go to Control key and open up in an incognito window, because I'm in Chrome right now. And this is what the user would see. They're not going to see edit with anything. So that's just a little production technique. So let's get into designing a super cool looking page using Visual Composer. So now it's where we roll up our sleeves, crack our knuckles, have a beverage, and learn some of the fun stuff. We've learned some of the basic understandings of how the Ultimatum theme works. Now let's do some serious designing. Okay, so here's what we need to do. Again, if I click here, that is for the text block editing. I want to edit the row itself, so I'm going to click right here. And I'm going to go to background, and I'm going to put a background image. Okay, now we'll talk later in the subsequent videos about parallax. We're going to do a whole series on parallax, which is the rave du jour. And I could basically do full width, etc., etc. We're going to do something full width. And I want to go to effects. Actually, I don't want to go to effects. I want to go to design options, and I want to pick the photo that we're going to use. So I'm going to go to my update. And I have all kinds of cool stuff in my documents. I have test images and big backgrounds, and I'm just going to bring all of these in because we're going to use those in just a second. These are just really nice, pleasant backgrounds that you can use for your design. Okay, the one we're going to pick right now is this one right here. I'm going to pick that, and I'm going to set the image. So that's my image. I save the changes. I update the changes, and I'm going to view the document. Now, what you're going to see is not very pretty because I need to share with you how to fix what I'm about to do. So I'm going to preview changes, and you're certainly going to see that background. But that's not looking all that great because my type is dark and my background isn't, I can't see most of my background. So how do I fix that? Well, here's what you need to pay attention to. Okay, a second ago, I edited the row itself, but I need to give enough breathing room inside this text block to be big enough to support the image that it's coming into. So how would I do that? Well, text block, I edit my text block. If I click here, I'm going to clone my text block, and if I click here, I would delete my text block, and if I click here, I can drag and move my text block someplace else. The only thing I want to do right now is edit my text block. Okay, now based on these changes, I want to do a couple things. First of all, I want to put the type in the center, which it is. That's nice. Okay, it's an H1 heading. That's fine. I also want to go into my design options, and this looks really overwhelming, but it's actually simpler than you think. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to give this padding to the top and the bottom, so I have padding inside of my box. Remember, margins outside the box. So let's pad this from the top 250 pixels. Let's pad this from the bottom of 250 pixels. And let's save the changes. Now, I could also put a background right inside of here as well. So I just want to share with you those different options. Let's save the changes. Let's update the changes. And let's preview the change. Again, the advantage of previewing is I can keep this window right in place, and I hit preview. Okay, so now that's looking like a website. Okay, pretty cool. I think that's really cool. And again, if you want to see the experience without all the other nuances there, again, Control key, View Page, Incognito, which means you're logged out as the admin. If you're in Firefox, it's called a private window. And it's just a little production technique. Okay, so this is pretty cool so far. It's starting to look like a really cool website. So I got that set up. All right, so in our next video, we're going to go much more deeper into setting up a one-page website with multiple backgrounds. So stay tuned.